Hi guys, Raindal here, and today we're going to review what I think is the coolest EX job that we have so far in War of the Visions. Shadowlynx EX job is really good for her in terms of stats, and then her abilities are insane. But let's begin by taking a look at stats. At 99, even compared to some UR units, Shadowlynx's base attack has always been very high. And then she has some very good luck, but she suffers from really low HP, which really holds her back because if she does get hit, she goes down. Her EX job kind of takes the same direction. If you get her to 115, you're barely getting 400 HP, and that's not enough to make her tanky. You are getting 2 more points of agility and quite a bit more luck though, so her evasion goes up quite a bit, and her damage will also be a lot higher. But I think you want the stats that she gets at 120, and the main reason for that is, okay, 150 more HP, she's still very squishy. Her attack goes up all the way to 628, and that is the highest in the game right now. Yes, even though she's MR. And then her luck is also the highest in the game right now at 293. And so you need those last 5 levels for evasion. You're getting almost 50 points of luck, which means roughly 22 points of evasion. That is necessary if you want her to survive, because with that low amount of HP, if she gets hit, she's going down for sure. Now, let's compare those stats to 2 other top-tier meta units. We have to compare her to UR units because honestly, she's way stronger than anything MR that we have. Now, she has a lot less HP than what To Be and Vinera has, and her survivability in general is way worse. She doesn't have as good resistances as those 2 other characters. She is a human, while To Be is a robot, so we have a type disadvantage. And just generally, she is very easy to kill. Now, she has an advantage in terms of mobility with an innate move 3 jump 2, and she has way more attack and luck than both To Be and Vinera, which is completely crazy. She's also as fast as To Be in terms of agility, which is very high. Now, even though her attack is really through the roof, I would not expect crazy damage from Shadowlynx, and the reason is she doesn't have any defense penetration. So yes, she will be probably able to one-shot squishy targets just because she has such a high attack score, but if you're hitting somebody with some bulk, she is going to struggle. Like, don't throw her against a 70 defense King Mont. She will be completely useless in terms of her damage. She does have some nice utility though in the form of her new abilities. So, talking about ability upgrades, well, first of all, her Shadow Runner becomes Shadow Stalker, and what she gets is an increased chance to apply Stop and Blind. Now, that does not mean she gets Stop and Blind on every single of her abilities or on her basic attacks. What it means is if she is using an ability that has a Stop or a Blind chance, the base percentage chance before being modified by Faith or Resistances is added with another 20%. So let's look at Shadowbind, which is her first upgraded ability. Well, now, before dealing damage and having a chance to inflict stop, it decreases single target resistance by 30. You're probably familiar with the Debilitating Fist ability from Xiza, which she uses to one-shot people. Well, Shadowlynx now has the same passive where she decreases single target resistance before dealing damage. Is this going to hit as hard as Xiza's ability? No. She doesn't have the defense penetration, again. It's shorter range, and it has a bunch of disadvantages. What it does have, though, is 25% chance to stop. Now, she has a new passive that increases that chance all the way to 45%. So if you're running Shadowlynx at 97 Faith, and you're attacking a target that also has 97 Faith, well, now your stop chance is actually 85 something percent. It's very, very high. So it becomes an actual reliable means of stopping the enemy. Of course, it's status effect. There is always some form of RNG. If you're targeting a character with an innate 50% resistance to stop, they will actually be immune to this attack. So you have to pick your fights correctly and use it at the right time. But it is a very powerful move with a pretty reliable chance to just take an enemy out for usually the remainder of the fight, because stop is just such a powerful status effect. And then her new ability is called Dark Haze, and it's a 4-square range typeless attack, just like Anton. And this actually has more damage than Anton, so it's a strictly better move, and thanks to that, I don't think you need to use the ninja subjob anymore in order to have that reliable damage type. So she has a really good typeless attack, and then that has 25% chance to blind, which means that you effectively render an enemy incapable of hitting you, because losing 50% of your accuracy against somebody like Shadowlynx, who has really high evasion, means you just can't hit them at all. And the chance to blind is increased by 20% from her passive, so that's actually a base 45% chance blind. That is really, really good. I would see myself closing in on the enemy team within 4 squares, trying to blind them, and then if I live the next turn, trying to stop them. So you have a really good mid-range ability and a really good close-range ability thanks to that. So where will Shadowlynx shine? First of all, I think she's a great enabler for evasion teams. She has the illusion buff in her samurai subjob, which she can use to give more evasion to all her team. She has a 4-square range blind. Now, I'm writing this as a long range because Shadowlynx has 4 base move. If she uses Shikuchi, she has 5 base movement. So she can actually blind an enemy that's within 8 or 9 squares of her starting position. That is pretty long range. And then if she lands a stop on the critical target, that's a game-winning status effect. So even if she's not built for damage, and if you're fighting high defense targets, she can still carry her weight by enabling other teammates, rendering all of them basically impossible to hit by blinding the enemy team, boosting their evasion, and then she can land game-winning status effects even if her damage wasn't a factor. But on top of that, she is also a great hunter for squishy targets. She has very high attacks. We'll take a look at builds in a second, and you'll see we can get that very, very high. She is one of the most mobile characters in the game. With a buff, it's possible to get her to move 6 pretty easily. But she suffers from defense penetration, so it's not every target she'll be able to kill. So, first build, I said we could get her attack pretty high, so let's see if we're using the Odin Esper, Blade Soul passive, and the brand new Maidens of the Rose Vision card. Well, she's got almost 4000 HP. For an EX unit, that is very, very low. What she does have, though, is 103 agility, so she's very likely to go first. She has 476 luck, which means she's almost impossible to hit, and 1320 attack. Now keep in mind, we don't have an attack boost vision card because I haven't put vision cards from party members in there. So I've seen that, trying it out in the builder, go over 1480. So it's pretty crazy the damage that girl can do against squishy targets. Now with that, she is almost untouchable, she has really good damage, and yeah, overall, very solid build. Again, you have to pick your targets, and if she's getting targeted by guaranteed hit abilities, she will go down. Don't run her against Yuna, and ideally not against gunners either, because she doesn't have a good missile resistance. Now, what if you want to run other top-tier evade units like Tubi or Vinera, and you want Shadowlynx to be your support? Well, I would swap 2 things out. First of all, Bells, I'm taking that out. She won't need to use a lot of abilities if she's a support. I would replace that with Ketone's TMR, so she gets even more mobility. Then we're changing the vision card. She won't be the one using Maidens of the Rose, but rather Shiva, because she's giving evasion to the other guys. And then we're switching the Blade Soul passive for Shikuchi for more mobility. That means she is a little bit less evadey, but that means she has better movement, and with that and Ketone's TMR, it's possible for her to have 6 square movement range and possibly be able to stop the enemy from very, very far away. So that's an additional threat you can have. With this build, Shadowlynx's attack has fallen down severely, but even if she's running Shiva, she still has 985 attack, so she can still deal some pretty decent damage, or set people up using chains. And then she's still very, very fast. So you have other things to play with. Obviously, this build does not hit as hard, but she's your Shiva carrier, so your other team members are going to be stronger, and you don't necessarily have to have a caster in your team to benefit from the Shiva card anymore. And then, what are some good partners to run with her? Well, there are a lot of tanky characters in War of the Visions that actually have very high luck. So in order to run her with those, you would have to use Secrets of the Heart on one of your teammates, but you could potentially run a very high evasion frontline. Kingmund is one of those really high luck tanks, Engelbert is one of them. Also, Titus has some surprising evasion for a unit that's pretty bulky. So you could run Shadowlynx, make her use her blind and illusion to make sure that your frontline just dodges a bunch of attacks in addition to their innate bulk. And with that, you have a nearly unkillable frontline. So that would be an interesting build avenue. Also, she is a natural pair with other high evasion, high damage units like Venera, like to be. Eventually we're going to have Ketone in that group. So there are a bunch of choices. And then you could just pair her with Black Witch Helena or Dwayne or other top tier dark characters, and she'll pull her weight. So what's my verdict? Well, she's got top tier evasion. She's actually number 1 right now. She's got great single target status effects. Now that's one drawback of her CCs is none of them are in AoE, so if it doesn't land on one target, it just doesn't land. Then decent damage, again she has to pick her targets, so it's not the most reliable, and she has one of the best mobility in the game, and for manual play, mobility is critical. It's very, very good in order to be able to get the initiative over the enemy team. Reasons you might not want her though, well, she needs the right gear and the right vision cards to work. Ideally, you need to go for the Maidens of the Rose vision card that's available right now. It is not time limited, but like most vision cards, if you don't get her or them while they're featured, it's pretty hard to max them out. And then it is very high risk gameplay. If she does get hit, you just lose your unit. And if you try to land a status effect and miss, you might still lose the battle. So there is some form of randomness that's going with that. She will also be very difficult to use. We'll have to fine-tune her AI to make sure she uses the right move at the right distance, and make sure that she doesn't just rush to her death first, because with that amount of mobility and speed, she'll go first, and if you don't set her AI right, she'll just rush to the enemy and probably die before she can have a good impact. So, do I recommend her? Well, if you're the kind of player that loves trying multiple things and fine-tuning your unit a lot until you get some good utility out of them, and you're the kind of person that loves using niche units that not everybody uses, then yeah, go for her. I'm pretty sure you'll have a lot of fun. But if you're the kind of guy that wants the most competitive units and doesn't want to rack their brains around how to use them, I don't think she's the best choice, because in a lot of scenarios you'll think you have the right setup, and then you'll just get an energy raid to the face from Yuna, and you'll lose your Shadowlynx. So not the easiest to use character by any means. So that was it, guys. Hopefully you found it interesting. If you did, please like and subscribe. And then as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.